الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا فمن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. My dearest brothers and sisters, have you heard of the story of this young Canadian girl called Amanda Todd? October 2012, this young teenager took her own life. What led her to this point in her life where she just wanted to end it? She was a victim of bullying at school. She said, she made a video, and in this video she told the whole world why she wanted to take her own life. She wrote up her story on flashcards. One after the other, she began to tell her story. Very traumatic story. She said that I am the victim of bullying. I was bullied in school as well as outside of school. That bullying that I was a victim of led me to abuse drugs, led me to abuse alcohol, and that made me anxious. That anxiety turned into depression, and here I am today wanting to take my own life. But the bullying that took place was the result of something else more sinister. Rewind back, she says, what happened to me is that I met a man online. This man much older than me. And this man began to manipulate me and managed to get me to take indecent pictures of myself and send it to him. Something which is very common. Once he had that picture of her, he began to threaten her, emotionally blackmail her, that I will expose you to your friends and family about this picture unless you take more for me. A incredibly evil man. When she refused, he ended up going through with that threat. He managed to find her on Facebook, managed to befriend her friends and family, and expose that picture of her. Ashamed of what she did, and not able to take the shame from her friends and family, she then moved to another place. However, that reputation of hers followed her to where she was. Unable to live a normal life anymore, she became the victim of bullying. That video she made has been seen by over 10 million people worldwide. And then she took her own life after that. When that happened, people began to ask questions. Is this the result of the bullying of those kids? Or is it the result of the manipulation of that man? In fact, people went further. And they said the reality is, this is the consequence of a culture that society has placed on young adolescent girls. The culture of sexualization. That today in our times, society sends a clear message to women and in particular young girls. And that is, your value in our eyes depends on how well you can dress and behave, such that your behavior and the way you look is the fantasy of a man's desire. The sexualization of society is this, that the value of a woman is not her intellect, it is not her talents, not her views. No, the message is clear. Your value and your worth in our eyes is how sexual you can make your own self. And the victims of this sexualized culture are who? They are the young adolescent girls. young, vulnerable girls that are being robbed of their childhood. You see, this culture of sexualization, it has increased dramatically in Europe over the last 30 years. It is everywhere. Not just in the movie world, not just on the TV sets, not just on the internet, but it has now become part and parcel of the gaming culture. Part and parcel of even cartoons that our children watch. Think about, what is the #1 soap that is watched by British people? What is it? EastEnders. People say that the ratings of this show, or the amount of people that watch it, can go up to 15 million at any one time. 15 million people in a nation that is around 60 million in population. A huge amount of people love this show. Who watches this show? Is it adults? No. Family members. The family gather around the TV set and watch this show. And what does this show, present to the world? What is it about? How many of the, scenarios and incidences in that show are of a sexual, indecent nature? How many of them? So this is what, subhanAllah, a great portion of our society not watches, loves to watch. And this is not just the adults, this is just regular people, both young and old. The gaming world, one of the most popular games of our times, GTA 5. I'm not saying any of you know what that is, but in case if you do know what that is, a big part of that game is what? Living as a gangster and even making money out of prostituting other women on the street, subhanAllah. And it's no secret that though the game is rated 18, many children play that game, true or not. So the gaming world, TV, movies, the internet is swamped with this culture of objectifying women and showing them as a mere object of man's fantasy. This has pervaded over the whole society, and the main victims are girls like Amanda Todd. Some statistics for you. You see, this issue is not just an issue for Muslims. It is an issue that most parents in the UK are concerned about. In one study, 9 out of 10 parents in the UK agree with the statement that our teenage children, or children in general, are being pressured into growing up too fast. Pressured into growing up too fast. Most parents believe that is the case and they're concerned about it. What do they mean? What they mean is that the school and the movie world and everything else in society is pushing young boys and girls to be sexual, to have sexual experiences. This is what kuffar are saying. This is the concern of non-Muslims. Another statistic for you. 75%, it is estimated, of young adolescent girls are concerned and worried about their self-image and their body shape. 75%. That's 3 out of every 4 girls if you were to stop them on the street and say, what are you worried about the most? You're in school at the moment. What is the thing that makes you most anxious right now? Is it your exams? Is it climate change? What is it exactly? Most of them would say what? It's the way I look. I am anxious about what others see me as. How I look, how I dress, and the shape of my body. Should a young girl be feeling like that at that age? Is that right? Isn't that a child? What happens to our children when they begin to think like that? Pressure. Pressure being put on the most vulnerable people in our society. This, my brothers and sisters, is the so-called fruits of a free liberal society. This is what it is producing, subhanAllah. Children robbed of their innocence, forced through sex education now as well to explore and to gratify themselves sexually before their minds are even ready, before, subhanAllah, their bodies are even ready for it. Is that right? No, it is not. There is a big problem here. And it is not a handful of people that have this problem. It is society at large that is suffering from this problem. This is the first point, my brothers and sisters, you have to appreciate. Now look at the other side. The Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How it came to produce a pure, decent society. The most beautiful example of this is the believers in Medina, when they were living as companions to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The world has never known a more purer, decent society than that society. True or not? We have not known a more pure society than that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed verses in Surah Nur speaking about how those people should think and act regarding talk of a sexual nature in society, gossiping and rumors. This is just speech, subhanAllah, of a sexual nature. We're not talking about movies, we're not talking about imagery, billboards, no. Just this level, that when a person speaks about another being indecent, being shameless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, hang on a minute. When this happens, when you hear about the indecency of another, then you need to keep in mind a few things. You see, these verses were revealed about Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. They came to declare her innocence and her dignity at a time when hypocrites had slandered her, had made up a lie about her. But that lie, known as hadith of ifk, was in fact believed by some ordinary Muslims. Some people listened to that rumor and began to entertain it. And others began to pass it on. Do you know what happened? What they're saying about Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَوْلَا إِذْ سَمِعْتُمُوهُ ظَنَّ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بِأَنفُسِهِمْ خَيْرًا. Allah said that when you heard about the rumor regarding Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, why didn't you, as real believing men and women would have done, think good of your own selves? Good of your own selves, yes. Because Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was not just a mother of the believers. She was one of those believers which we claim to be too. So if you can say that about another believer, what does that say about you? Aren't you one Muslim community? If you say that about others, then what does that say about you? Abu Ayyub, one of the companions, he came home and his wife said to him, do you know what they're saying about Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha? He said to her, subhanallah, could you do something like that? And she said, no, of course I could not do something like that. He said, she is better than you. How then could you say that or even think that about Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha? But the real lesson here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that accusations about other people being indecent are not to be taken lightly. And when you hear accusations, you should revert back to a good opinion of the other Muslim believer. You don't know anything bad about this person, you've never seen anything bad about this person, then someone comes along and says, do you know what this brother's been up to? Do you know what this sister's been up to? You say, hang on a minute. All I know about them, they are decent persons. This is an accusation. You need to bring proof of your accusation. And not just bring the proof to me, I'm just an ordinary person. This is gossiping. You bring it to the people of authority. True or not? If you're going to make an accusation, you back it up with your proof. In this case, 4 witnesses. And not just to us. Doesn't have a good old gossip about this. No, you bring it to the people of authority. So subhanallah, this is what the light of the Sharia came with. To make pure, decent people out of us. And to help us be pure by putting in place measures like hijab. Did you know, subhanallah, that recently in the British Journal of Psychology, they wrote a paper about British Muslim women. They said British Muslim women that wear the hijab are less likely to suffer from anxiety about their self-image as compared to other women who don't wear the hijab. Subhanallah. That this hijab has so many benefits, and those benefits are so clear that even non-Muslims can say, you know what, they got something special there. In our times, many articles are being written about how many British people are converting to Islam. In The Guardian last year, an article came out that 5,000 British people are converting to Islam. Most of which are women, subhanAllah. Most of which are women. How comes? Because the women out there, my brothers and sisters, are suffering. They are suffering. There are issues of low self-esteem, anxiety. Some of these translate into physical diseases like anorexia and bulimia. And all of this because of pressure to conform that you women need to dress and behave in a very sexual way. Unnatural. And then when they see Islam and the light of Islam and the greatness of Allah's Sharia, they run to it. From darkness to light, subhanallah and azim. This is what we are seeing. Recognize the darkness of this free liberal culture, my brothers and sisters. And see the light and the beauty in the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Now, as parents or parents to be, what lessons can we take? What guidelines can we take? You see, this pressure and this sexualized culture touching every single one of us. Now, if society's role has become backward, then what it teaches us, number one, is that our role as parents to our children has just gone up a great deal. No longer can you rely on the school or others outside of your home to nurture and to take care of your children. True or not? You can't rely on them. You can't think, as long as I get them into a good school, even an Islamic school, khalas, job done and they'll be taken care of. No, you are working against a huge force, and you need to take your role as parents more seriously than ever before. Some basic advice: do not let your children watch whatever they want to watch. Monitor and vet whatever they watch, even cartoons. Sit with them and watch. Is this a good cartoon? Does it have a good message? Is there some indecent undertones to this cartoon? If not, no problem. Watch, but watch in a measured way. Not unlimited amount of time in front of the TV. No, I will see what you watch, and also we will monitor how much you watch of that too. That is advice number one. Advice number two, this smartphone, such a powerful device. It gives you access to whatever your mind wishes, true or not. Whatever you want on that small screen that no one else can see. It is too powerful to be given to a young child. This, my brothers and sisters, needs to be looked at seriously. That giving a child a smartphone may well be the worst thing you can do for your child. Many parents are concerned that they want to stay in contact with their children when they come home from school. That is a genuine need. However, does that phone need to be the best phone in the world? No, it doesn't. Can it be one of those ordinary phones that are so difficult to find nowadays? Yes, it does need to be one of those phones. So second advice, this smartphone you need to appreciate how powerful and how corrupting it can be. And the third is for the brothers. Fathers to your daughters, you need to take a lesson from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was incredibly affectionate towards his daughters. Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha would say that whenever my father would see me, he would embrace me and kiss me on the cheek. SubhanAllah. That is the way the Prophet ﷺ was. Yes, he gave them attention, quality time and affection. That a young girl wants certain things from a male figure. If she doesn't get that from her own father, most likely she will seek it from another person on the street. SubhanAllah. The very last days of the Prophet's life, he was so ill, he could no longer move freely. Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, his beloved daughter, came to visit him in the house of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. The Prophet was too weak to get up and to hug her. What does he do? He calls her over. He whispers something in her ear and she begins to cry. As she cries, the Prophet calls her over again. He whispers something a second time and she smiles through those tears. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was watching. Out of respect, she never asked at that time what was the thing that he whispered. Later on, she asked after the Prophet passed away, what is that thing that he whispered to you? She said, the first thing he whispered to me is that I now see Jibreel coming to me. And these are the last moments of my life. And so I began to cry. And then, seeing me crying, he pulled me towards him again and he whispered a second thing. And he said to me that, why do you cry? For you will be the first of those to be with me in paradise. SubhanAllah. And out of that, I smiled through my tears. An amazing amount of lessons just from this one incident. But the main one, my brothers, is that you need to pay special attention to your daughters. Time, quality time and affection is what you should be focusing on with regards to your children and in particular your daughters. May Allah save me and you from this sexualized culture. May Allah save this nation from indecency that it is now become rampant. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
So, Ustadh ASIM, brothers and sisters, stand as close together as possible, leave no gaps. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.